Welcome back, everybody, to Pipe Dreams Podcast, episode 12. We've got an amazing guest tonight, but before we get into that, everybody knows we're in Garage the Ocho, the infamous Ocho. We go loco in Garage Ocho. Corey,
say that 10 times fast.
I don't know, dude. I'll probably screw it up, but how you been, bro? It's been a minute.
Yeah, dude. It's been a little bit. We did one, a month ago? It's been a month.
I know we're starving everybody for podcasts right now, but it's supply and demand right now.
Slow and steady.
Yeah, wins the race. But let's get into our guests. We've got a legend in his own mind. He's a two-time 200 winner, youngest winner on the road. He's a BSB Moto 3 champion, I believe the only American to do it, and a little baby KTM Junior Cup champ. Brandon Conor McGregor Paasch.
Make Paasch.
Dude, I've been watching too many YouTube videos.
How to go viral on Instagram.
The big viral guy.
What's going on, dude? What brings you to these parts?
Dude, I don't know. This podcast is long overdue. I know we tried once before and it got a little
Ghosting us.
Yeah.
He just pied us hard.
I talked to James about it the other day, and it was a little bit of a misunderstanding, but we're here and ready to roll now, so it's all good.
That's what happens when you're, 2 times Daytona 200 champ. You can just blank people.
Bro, when you just call yourself the champ, you're just like, you don't have time for podcasts. You don't have time for that.
No, you got to stay grinding, because if you're calling yourself the champ, you can't get beat.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But you're out here, Chuckwalla, teaching with...
Yeah, working with Jorge from Honos. We're just doing a couple days of riding before the races this weekend, and he's going to race and I'm going to go home.
Cool, and I know you're coming off a surgery, so tell us about that surgery that you just had on your shoulder, I believe, and how you feeling?
Yeah, I'm like maybe 10, 11 weeks deep into recovering from my labrum tear, like the surgery that I had done. So everything's been going pretty good. Just been training with Hogs Bully over here once, and I figured after that day I was like, all right, I can go ride for sure now. So came out here.
Just went to his house and beat up on him. That good?
Yeah, dude. Like I just wanted to make sure he was prepped for this Harley gig this year. So I came out and just checked in on him, and he was ready to go. So no, but
I don't know, dude. The snap I got the next day of the old fucking the Normatex on the legs, dude.
Struggling.
Yeah, dude.
Struggling. But yeah, no, we're doing good. Making progress with the shoulder, and today was my first day riding since, and everything's good. So I think we're gonna try and resume the normal program, and get back to work, and hopefully get back on my bike soon.
What happened? What did you need to get a shoulder surgery for?
So like the beginning of 22, we did like a preseason test on that Altus bike, and I crashed the first day riding the thing, high-sided myself, first time on the 1000, and dislocated my shoulder. And I just had like a constant dislocating problem with that shoulder ever since. And it got to the point where at COTA this past year, during the red flag, my shoulder popped out. And that was kind of my like cue. Okay, maybe we should kind of get this thing taken care of in the off season. Chris wasn't too thrilled. He was like, dude, what's going on here? And I was like, I've been dealing with this for like 2 years, so we're all right. But yeah, it was just time to get it fixed.
You had another big injury going into last season though, right?
Yeah. After the 200 last year in March, I wound up breaking my back riding motocross, and that kept me out for probably like the first half of the year, and then slowly started coming back around.
Yeah. What was that like? Obviously, I've had a couple back surgeries, so I know that's kind of scary when you go in.
Yeah.
When you're even dealing with anything with your back. What was that kind of like going through that?
Yeah, honestly, right when I broke my back, I had that like fear, like I think I just ended my career, because basically on that landing, I felt like a pop in my back, and then everything just got like really hot,
And for people just listening here, you went to Orlando MX and you hit a jump pretty fast and over jumped it.
Yeah.
And essentially, you didn't even crash.
No, I didn't even crash. I actually just got off the phone with you that day, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go, get the motos in and go home, and get the seat time, not do anything crazy." An hour and a half later, I'm in an ambulance on the way to the hospital with a broken back. But yeah, I just happened to over jump the jump, landed it, but my legs kind of gave out on the landing, and like just how hard my ass hit the seat, like I felt a pop in my back, so I knew something was up, and everything just started feeling really like warm and kind of tingly. So my first instinct was like I just paralyzed myself, and I started freaking out, like in my head, obviously, and my one toe like twitched while I was riding back to my van, and that like changed my whole like mindset. I was like, okay, I'm not paralyzed, like this might be okay. And just cruised back over the van, rolled off the bike, and laid there till the ambulance showed up.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I was there alone that day. And
so who called? Did you just like yell at somebody to like, hey, call an ambulance or what?
yeah, I literally like I rode right back to my van, and I was parked, like that front straightaway where like that tabletop is,
Yeah.
and it's like kind of that fence area. So there's some people watching over there, and yeah, I rode over there. I was parked right there, and just kind of rolled off the bike, and I was like, hey, can one of y'all please like call an ambulance? I think I just broke my back. And then I forget the owner's name of the track, but he came rolling over and he was like, are you good, dude? Like, I saw that. It was pretty big. And I was like, nah, call the ambulance. I'm not good.
Dude, it's pretty big.
He was like, dude, that was pretty big. And I was like, yeah, felt like it. So they wound up calling the ambulance, and yeah, luckily I didn't have to have surgery, but I compression fractured my L3, so that took some time to heal. And I mean, you said you've had some back problems, so like it doesn't really just go away overnight. You kind of struggle with that for a while, and my back still doesn't feel great. There's days you wake up and it's just aching for a whole day, or coda halfway through the race and you start feeling your back's like locking up a little bit, and you're like, oh boy, this ain't good.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know?
Every time I ride a bike, pretty much. It only gets worse as you get older, kid.
I think too, because we're tall.
Yeah,
being
sure.
tall doesn't help.
For sure. I think either way. I never like hurt my back. It's just from being tall. So it's definitely tough. How long did it take for you to get back to where you felt? I mean, obviously not still feeling 100%, but pretty long recovery for those kinds of things.
Yeah, that one was. So I broke it March 28th, and then I did the Loudon Classic whenever that was my first race back. But it was almost 3 months before I even like touched a motorcycle again, which was actually pretty similar for the shoulder surgery too. It was about 3 months before I rode again, and that was even early. They were kind of trying to tell me like it should be 4 months minimum, maybe even 5, and I was like, dude, I feel good. Let's go. So they did like a couple scans, and they were like, okay, well the bone is kind of, it's not healed fully, but it's in one piece. So the only way it's going to go anywhere is if you take another big impact. And I was like, I'm not planning on taking a big impact, like I'm not riding moto or anything. So I would have had to high side myself to the moon. So I just took it kind of ginger the first few times back. And then once I started feeling comfortable, it was full beans.
And you were supposed to ride for Altus before you got hurt.
Yeah.
Super Stock 1000, right?
Just move this a little bit. There you
This?
go. No, that one. The other way.
way.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah. So I was supposed to ride that Alta Stock 1000.
So it's kind of a blessing in disguise that you broke your back, because
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they would have called you maybe anyway to move up, but
Yeah, I got the whole timing of it really kind of, I guess, worked in my favor. And that's nothing against the Altus team. We had a good program going, and we were going to build on what we had started the year before. But, yeah, just the whole thing with when Tony had kind of retired halfway through the year, and I was kind of coming off my injury. So I was already out of the stock championship points anyways. I kind of got lucky. It was one of those things, the right place, the right time, and just happened to do well enough, I guess, to keep the spot for the rest of the year, so.
But you've previously you've rode for the Orriches. You've rode for them like at younger, right? When you did like I
did 3 races for them in 2017 on the Super Sport bike. I was supposed to do the whole year, actually. and we just never wound up getting the contract signed for one reason or another. And yeah, I guess we kind of made it full circle at this point, kind of came back around. And, you know, that's why you try to leave every deal as best as you possibly can, you know, without, you know, slamming the door shut on your way out, I guess. But yeah, it's pretty funny how it kind of just came back around to us.
What was the biggest difference going from super stock to this? Obviously, you went from GSXR to GSXR, but you seemed like right away you clicked with the Superbike a little bit more so than the super stock bike.
Yeah, the Altus super stock bike was a good bike for sure, but kind of some of the things I was struggling with on the stock bike, the Superbike kind of just naturally did. So some stuff like in the middle of the corner where I would want to kind of hook the bike around that last little bit of turning, the stock bike was really difficult. Like the stock Suzuki is a little bit more of a pig compared to the Superbike, so that last like couple degrees of turning, it doesn't really want to get done unless you're really muscling the thing. And for me, I'm not really the strongest guy, so I kind of rely on the motorcycle to do the work. And the Superbike just kind of did that for me. And then also too, I just think I got that year under my belt, kind of learning how to ride the big bike, and that's what I needed. I just needed time, really. Coming off the 600, I didn't really have that like super bike, super stock style. You know, I was still kind of just roaching the edge of the tire and just like not riding the thing proper. And it took all year for me to start understanding that. And even the stock year, you could see like throughout the year, I started progressing towards the end of the year. And, you know, I never really like beat you guys, but I started getting closer and closer and closer. And then it was season done. So I think I just learned a lot, and then happened to hop on the super bike at the right time, the right track, and it just wound up kind of clicking for me.
Yeah.
What this is your first time on a super bike, of course, but like you're getting thrown a lot of stuff. I mean, you've been in a couple different championships, but I don't think you've been on anything with this amount of electronics and like data, being able to change swing arms, cups, like everything, pivots. Like, what's that been like, or have you really even dabbled in it, or you've just focused on your riding? Like, how has that been from somebody who's been riding super stock bikes, super sport, things of that nature? I mean, that's a massive undertaking.
Yeah, no, for sure. That was definitely that was one of the things that we talked about when I first joined the team. Was there's no reason for me to even change the bike until I'm in the ballpark. And I go figure, the first weekend I'm kind of within the ballpark, and they're like, what do you want to change? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I just want to ride the thing and kind of figure it out. So that's kind of where it got tricky for sure. Honestly, the Superbike was basically like, to me, it was a mix of like the Moto2 bike that I rode once or twice and the super stock bike. So it was kind of like a good mix of the two and throw in some electronics on top. And for me, I just kind of gelled with it. And, you know, I had Ben Fox working with me, so he kind of, anything that I was struggling with, he would kind of explain to me the options in a way where I was actually able to understand it. So I didn't really struggle with it too much. You know, I kind of at first did struggle with the electronic side of things, but the more that we kind of dove into it, the more I just realized like there's a particular way that you kind of need to ride with the electronics compared to having no electronics. So once I started wrapping my head around that, my manager Shaky was kind of explaining it to me as well, and obviously he knows how to ride a super bike. So I started to understand and really study some old races and kind of watch these guys like Gagne and Bobier and, you know, the big dogs. Watch those guys for a little bit, and once I knew what to look for on the screen when I'm watching the races, it all started to make a lot more sense to me. And I just started to try and implement that kind of riding style into it, and it made it easier working with the electronics. So that's just kind of really how it went for me.
Yeah. You said Shaky's your manager, which is interesting. Obviously, a lot of people in America don't even have managers anymore because there's not a lot of money to be made. How does that work? You know, career-wise, you race in England, so there's a connection there being in England, but otherwise, like, what is Shaky doing for you?
Yeah, so that kind of whole deal started when I was riding for the Triumph team over in BSB in Supersport, and I was really struggling, not clicking with the team, not clicking with the bike. Everything was just in a bad way, and I was just down, honestly, ready to just be done. And I somehow got connected with Shaky and just was asking him like a bunch of questions. And he would just like every weekend come check on me and try to help me like kind of dial in the bike and kind of understand how I needed to speak to the team and those kind of things that like as a 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid living in another country, just kind of doing my own thing, I didn't really understand. And he kind of just guided me quite a bit that year. And towards the end of the year, approached me about like, hey, like, what do you think about like coming on board our little program here? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Because at the end of the day, my goal is to get back over there. You know, I don't want to be not stuck in America, but like I do want to go after the world championship. So I want somebody that's in Europe and is involved in European programs and has the potential to help me get over there. So for me, working with Shaky is smart for both of us because I think he sees that I might have a little bit of potential, and obviously I'm not silly. I know he's got a lot of really strong connections and works with Brad Ray as well. So he's already got one guy in the World Superbike Championship, and that's where my goal is to get to. So
What does he do? Obviously, sounds like he does a lot of rider, like more helping you with actually riding the bike and dealing with the team. What does a manager do for someone otherwise these days?
I don't know. Shaky kind of handles everything for me when it comes to like speaking to sponsors or managing existing deals, talking to the team, lining up my test days, what I want to change on the bike. Even like he kind of does a little bit of everything, really. Like there's not one like specific thing where it's like, oh, he only deals with Chris at M4. Like it's not like that. He kind of even stuff in my personal life, like if I'm kind of struggling with something or like need some guidance, like I just go to him because he's older than me and I trust him and he's just a good dude. So he's
That's
kind of
cool.
more like a life coach.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. What is, you said you want to get to World Superbike. What is kind of, you have a 1-year deal with M4 this year? Or is it a 2-year deal? Or like a 1 year with an option kind of thing?
Yeah, it's like 1 year with an option. I get it's probably more so dependent on how I perform.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to obviously smash it this year. Whatever smashing it is for the situation that I'm in. Right, like I'm not gonna go probably win the championship, but I'd like to be competitive with those guys at the front, and then fight for a championship in the next 2-3 years, and then
Try to get over there.
yeah,
Yeah, that's cool.
the Gerloff route kind of.
Yeah.
But I want to lock up a title.
Yeah. You got it?
Not that wasn't like it. That
No,
wasn't like
no,
trying
dude.
to diss
Yeah.
Gerloff.
No,
I'm
I mean you got to have a plan. And for people like you just said you're 22. Like
Yeah.
I didn't realize how young you were. It feels like you've been racing as long as I have, and you're
Pretty much has.
10 years younger than I have. So it's kind of nuts for people. Like I think a lot of people might think you're older, like 25, 26,
Yeah.
but you still are like pretty young, really young actually. So you've got a lot of life left,
Yeah.
for going overseas and all that stuff. I mean, you've kind of raced a couple careers already.
I think that was kind of our plan too, with like why we took that risk of getting on the Superbike now at a young age, was because if I could get on the Superbike and perform kind of not right away, but within a year or two of getting on it, I'm still 23, 24 years old, and now I'm a young kid performing on a Superbike rather than 28, 29, just getting on a Superbike, struggling a year or two, and then being 30 and now fighting for a title.
Definitely.
By that point, I've kind of missed the curve of going to the whole World Superbike deal. So
Especially like trying to learn those tracks and then learn
Yeah.
that sort of electronics. And I mean, Pirelli tires over there and everything. It's just a different world. So like we know in the BSB, just even though going to BSB, it's like when you step into another championship, it's very difficult to just perform right away.
no, 100%. And the thought of like trying to go the BSB like Superbike route did kind of cross our minds as well. But even that, it's like, dude, you know how it is going into the
Dude,
Superbike class and
It's
BSB.
fucking gnarly.
I'm not saying that it's easier here, but it's a completely different ball game, and like the electronics over there basically is none. So it's like it's just gnarly.
Well, it's just weird because like speaking on BSB, like the tracks are so like there's so much old knowledge that you have like guys that you're like, he's kind of washed up around the world, and he's just smashing it at Oulton Park, and you're over there riding shotgun to your face 3 seconds off the pace, going, where is this time?
Like the BSB thing is kind of strange too, because there's so many teams that are like mom and dad teams that aren't quite,
look good.
It looks good from the outside, and then you get involved in it and you're like,
everybody's got a
what's
lawyer,
going on here?
a lorry. Like everyone's got a semi.
like a semi
like
truck.
everybody.
Yeah.
It's like we have vans over here. Like they all have a semi, and like a hospitality, and you're like,
but
what
then they
about
don't
the
have
bike?
budget to get tested.
What's the with the bike?
Yeah.
What this last year, do you feel like you've had to like mature a lot? Has riding a superbike like forced you to kind of grow up, I guess?
Yeah, I think, not just the fact that I was riding the superbike kind of made me grow up a little bit. It's also like that injury, breaking my back and being on the couch for a long time, and just realizing like there's a lot of other stuff going on here, and I need to kind of reel it in and just get focused. And also too, the superbike did definitely help, because you got to kind of respect that thing a lot. Like, it's real easy to hurt yourself on a superbike. So, yeah, I think there was multiple factors, but I do think in the past like year and a half, I kind of grew up a little bit. And
Got engaged.
yeah, dude, big moves. We're kind of locked down now and just doing our own thing. We got like our own little family and a house and everything in Florida, and just kind of moved our whole program like away, separated from all the like negative, not negative factors that were outside of like me, but I don't know, kind of just doing our own thing and just locked in and focused on racing and Debo.
I remember you were, what was probably like 2012, 2013, when we were teammates. You were doing like circles in the parking lot at Jersey on like a 65 or something, right?
Yeah.
They had you doing like an exhibition. That was
For
like
the mini GP thing.
like 10 years ago. So yeah, 12 years old, I guess.
That's
It's
crazy.
crazy. But so talk us through kind of like your trajectory to get to here, I guess. So you actually raced, because I remember when you got the Milwaukee, right? So you did like USGPRU back then, and then you got into the Junior Cup, which was really popular for, there's like a group of kids that were like your age that are racing still from then. But after that, you went to BSB.
Yeah, so I actually, when I was probably like 14, I was actually racing in BSB. You were still over there.
I was gonna say you got to BSB a couple times in the KTM Junior Cup, Silverstone, right?
Yeah, so I did I did Assen, Mazziato, Gage McAllister, and Hayden Schultz maybe, I think, did the UK round.
Okay.
That was the year before. But I think out in 2015 maybe, I was like 14 years old. So I did this class called the Milwaukee Junior Cup. So we did Donington Park, Brands Hatch, and
Donington, because you used my pit board.
Yeah. Yeah. You were on the
That's
traction control R6, I think, at that point. I don't know.
Maybe that, or I was on FS3.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of them two. It doesn't matter.
Something like that. But you were over there, and then I was kind of already dabbling in the whole European thing, even from like a pretty young age, really. Tried to get into the Rookies Cup, got denied. Not good enough. But yeah, no, I was just trying to go over there from a young age, and that's kind of where I wanted to go. I was always loving the BSB stuff. Honestly, for a little while, I wanted to go road racing because I thought it was just sick, and thankfully, I haven't gone down that road yet. But yeah, so I started young going over there, and then kind of bounced back and forth almost every year for probably 4 years, between the Milwaukees and then USGPRU and then KTM Cup and Moto3s over there, and then a couple stock 600 races in 2017. You were still over there for that.
Yep. On the Cowie, right?
Yeah, on the Cowie.
Dog. Yep.
The big ZX. Yeah, I've kind of done a little bit of everything, really. That didn't really answer your question at all, but
well, I guess more so, what led you to BSB opposed to there's CEV, there's a lot of other series in the world. Why did you go that route?
I think the main thing for me was we didn't really have the budget to go CEV, which is where I always wanted to go CEV Moto3 and then just kind of progress through that way and get into MotoGP. That was always what I wanted to do, but we didn't have the budget to do it. So in our opinion, the next best thing was the British Championship. Stacked. There's always competition over there, and I don't know. I was kind of not out of a place to go here in America, but at that time, USGPRU was kind of dying off, and I was winning everything on the little bikes as far as like the amateur national stuff goes, and there was no KTM Cup yet, so the only option was either CEV or British Championship. And like I said, we couldn't afford the CEV, so we kind of just went British Championship, and I ended up loving it, man. It was sick. The tracks, the people, the fans.
Yeah,
just
they
the
have a big
atmosphere.
thing for Americans. Seems like I know James still got people like begging him to come back. Every one of his Facebook posts, even now his factory, like, James, when are you gonna come back to England?
Dude, when are you gonna bring the hall? Yeah, no. Once you get locked in over there, they love it. I've always talked about the fans. I've talked about that BSB is probably the most electric racing atmosphere there is besides like MotoGP. Like they lock in like they're football fans, soccer fans. Like it's just nuts. So, you know, I just paved the way for Paasch on the fan side.
Dude, for real, like when I first started going over there, they're like, "Oh, another Rispoli."
Yeah.
Like, not quite.
Please no.
Not quite.
Introvert Paasch was like,
Dude. Young BP over there, hood up, just chilling in the corner.
What? I mean, you keep saying we. So like,
Yeah.
who is we? What is?
because it's before Shaky.
Yeah.
It was actually me, my godfather, my mom, and we had Paul Allison. I know you maybe know of him, but
Yeah.
he helped me a lot when I was younger, as far as like rider coaching and kind of management, really. You know, like he was the one person that kind of helped me bring in a couple sponsors early on when I was real young, and also helped us come up with like a plan of where to go. And to be honest, like he did the best that he could for me at the time, really. You know, he still kind of speaks to me every now and again, but that we just had that little crew, and that was really it. You know, us 3-4 people, and come up with a plan and go smash it. You know.
Yeah. I was always curious because you know, when you were in England, did you have anybody with you?
No, I was over there by myself from. I don't know. Even the first time I went, I was like 14, and I'm pretty sure I went by myself. And
What's that like?
It's kind of, at first it was a little like nervous and scary, you know, because
And Uncle Jimmy picked you up, took
Dude.
you under his wing.
Yeah, actually, you were definitely. I mean, I didn't hang out with you a whole lot when I was over there, but you know, at the race weekends, I always knew like, okay, if I really need something, like there's somebody that understands what's going on here,
Yeah.
you know. So just even knowing that you were there kind of helped me, whether or not I spoke to you all the time or not, you know. But yeah, I was like on my own. It got a little not scary, but a little like nervous at times for sure. Especially like later on once I started living on my own over there, like 18 years old, like in an apartment by myself, no car, no nothing, just like grinding it out, cycling to the gym every day. It's different.
Was it tough? Like, because I know you did bounce back and forth a little bit, and it seemed like you get over there, and then you know, weren't getting the results you wanted, and then you wanted to come back, and then you come back, and you wanted to go back over. Is that kind of because of that cycle of like, you know, just being stuck over there by yourself, or
Yeah, the grass is always greener. You know, like you get into one situation and you're like, man, I wish I was in a different situation. But then you're in that situation, you're like, I'm an idiot. The other situation was better. So it's one of those things, like you're going to have disappointing results at times no matter where you go, right? So like it's really, for me, it was more of the like living situation. And when you have those bad times, there's not anybody there really to catch you.
And you got 6.5 hours before anybody wakes up that you come from. I mean, just to chime in a little bit, I was 23, I think, when I went over, and dude, I struggled as well. I mean, I'm still very young, but I know exactly the same kind of feeling. Like you have these bad results because it is so hard to go over there and do well, and like you're just within weeks. And I mean, I don't know how long it took you to get friends. Like that was like the game-changing thing for me. As soon as I met Danny Buck and I started doing well and had like fun.
Yeah.
Until then, I was like, pretty depressed.
Yeah, that was the thing for me is like I never really had friends. I kind of like almost purposely isolated myself because I wanted that competition of like I hate everybody here and I just want to prove everybody wrong and beat everybody. Like for me that was like my mental thing where it almost helped me to kind of be on my own. But then I started going back and like the older that I got, I started hanging out with Yasin more and more.
That's
And
that was we both had a S&C coach, sports and conditioning coach, Sam Yasin, and
good dude.
Great guy,
Good
really
dude.
really good coach.
So yeah, I started hanging out with Sam thanks to you because I saw that you were training with him. So I hit him up, started training with him after you had already left. And Sam's like group of people are all similar to us in some way, you know, where like everybody's like a motorsports athlete, and also Sam only works with people that he gets along with. So pretty much anybody that was in the gym, I kind of got along with just because I'm friends with Sam, you know, and everybody's just having a good time, getting after it, and it's good to be around like people that have similar interests and are just wanting to get after it. So that's kind of where I started gravitating towards. And you know, I was never really like the fittest guy over there, but I would just spend all my time at the gym because I didn't have any other friends or anything else to do. But yeah, a big one for me was like Davey Todd, similar to you with Danny. Like we would just go hang out, and this was like 4 years after I was over there. So like it's pretty late on. It was actually my last year over there, but we started like hanging out and cycling together and like traveling a little bit together and stuff like that.
So when you were over there, but you were telling me the other day that you didn't have a car, so you were cycling to the gym, which was 20 miles there and then back. And then you said one day you fucking ran there or something?
Yeah, so I have the Strava receipts if you want to check them out. But yeah, I was cycling to the gym every day, dude. Rain or shine. There was a couple times that Yasin didn't tell me he wasn't going to show up to the gym, so I cycled to the gym in the rain, and there was no Sam. Talk about a not so happy BP, dude. I showed up pissed off, but yeah, that was kind of part of the deal. That was 2021, so that I was riding for the Triumph team, and I moved out of my buddy Andy's house and was just living on my own. That was a lot harder than I expected. Like, I didn't realize how good I had it living with him and his family, you know, because they let me live there for a while, all of my Moto3 days and stuff.
And this is Andy
Levers.
the guy, the crew chief for Gerloff?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Gerloff's like data guy now. He big times me a little bit here and there now. It's like, dude, I'm factory and you're not.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm just kidding. He doesn't do that. But no, he kind of took me in my first like full year over there, and I lived with him for like 3 years, him and his family. And it was really good living with them because when I got on my own, I started realizing like, damn, I got to clean up after myself, and make my own food, do my own laundry. Like, what is this, you know? And yeah, it just got really difficult too because like I didn't have a car or anything. So anywhere I wanted to go was either train, walk, or bicycle.
That's a big difference in America.
Yeah, and then I come home and I have my Sprinter van with my motorbike, my Supermoto bike, my practice bike. Like I have everything at home, and then I'm living over there. It's raining almost every other day. It's cold.
It's cloudy as fucking anything.
Yeah, it's easy to get in a bad headspace over there. That's for sure. Yeah. Especially when you're alone.
I could imagine. What were you doing school-wise? Because at that time you still weren't even. Were you 18 yet?
My very last year over there, I was 20, but I dropped out of school freshman year, 2 weeks in, and never went back. That was it. Yeah, I wound up. I got hurt that year or the next year, and wound up going back for my GED. But yeah, I only did 2 weeks of high school, and that was it because I was kind of traveling quite a bit. I want to say that was like KTM Cup year that I was supposed to be like freshman in high school or something. And we got like 2 or 3 weeks in, and they were already getting on me about traveling so much. And I was like, dude, I'm going racing. Like, you don't understand. This is what I'm meant for, you know? And they weren't having it. So they were like, basically got to the point where they said, like, it doesn't matter if you pass or not. You're retaking the grade if you miss more than another however many days it was. So it was like, well, I'm not going to do all the work and then retake the grade anyway. So I just dropped out. And I'm definitely not saying drop out of school because, yeah, you got to be smart. But I don't know. It worked out somewhat for me, I guess.
Did you said did you get your GED or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got hurt in 2018, really like pretty bad, and sat on the couch for maybe like 4 or 5 months, and just like I was going into classes because I couldn't ride, so I just went to like a little community college and got my GED in like 2.5 months, I think.
It's good.
Just to have that high school diploma, just in case I ever decide like I want to go to college or whatever. I know it's probably a long shot for me, but you never know.
You're still young enough, I guess. You can go to
Yeah.
college whenever you want, but yeah, for sure. Was there ever a point where you like considered having to do something else?
Yeah, the thoughts definitely crossed my mind. The sport's not easy, and there's not a whole lot of finances going around, and everybody's kind of struggling to make it happen. And you have those negative times for sure where you're just like over it, ready to go do something else. But then you start thinking about it, you're like, what else am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Like I'd rather be broke and miserable racing a motorcycle than miserable working a 9 to 5 in like an office somewhere.
Yeah. Is this you're obviously being on a superbike? Is this like kind of the first time in your career you're really like making some money, or have you had like opportunities in the past, like when you obviously in BSB you won a Moto3 championship, but that's like more or less like the kids class over there. So it's, is this kind of the first time in your career where I guess you feel like you're really at a point where you're making strides in a career?
I'm definitely moving forward, but I'm not making money to the point where I don't have to do anything else. Like I only get paid when I do well, and from experience, it's very hard to do well in the superbike class. You're racing against some savages, so I'm really not making money racing right now, which it sucks, but it's part of the game. I've gone from being on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, paying to race in Europe and paying to race in America, and now I'm kind of starting to go the other way. So
Yeah, I guess that's what I mean, and kind of knowing how BSB works. You're kind of somebody's paying for you, whether it's your sponsors or whatever the case is, and then I think everyone assumes you get into Superbike and all of a sudden you're making a bunch of money, but it's not really how it works.
Dude, I wish. I've been still waiting to sign that like $10 million contract and jumping into the factory team. But
I know James just got one over there.
Yeah,
so
dude, it's unreal.
Must be nice, This guy's like, I quit my real estate career, I'm just full factory now.
Nah. I don't think racing today you can.
No, I don't
think
those days are gone.
No, maybe Bobier knows. Maybe Bobier knows. We can ask him.
Yeah, well, he's got a lot of championships.
He's
So
yeah.
He's earned that.
Yeah.
What about like, obviously you explained kind of your situation with who was going to you with BSB. What was your, like, how did you get into bikes? Like, what's your childhood like?
My whole family's been like into motorcycles, like since they were young. Like my uncles, my mom, and everybody, like they all ride, like on the street, not like race. But my godfather kind of got me into racing because he like helped run team promotion track days back in the Northeast. So he kind of, I started racing dirt bikes first, just because I was like 3 years old, going to Englishtown and racing moto and stuff. So
for people who don't know, you're from like Central Jersey, right?
Yep.
I don't know where exactly.
Freehold.
E-Town.
Yeah.
Dirty Jers.
Dirty Jers. We're right by Six Flags, in between Six Flags and the beach. So, I just grew up racing dirt bikes in Jersey, and I was never good really, but I did it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you say you grew up, but you started road racing or riding dirt or street bikes of some sort when you were like what,
8?
Yeah. So
But didn't you do a lot of the like 100 stuff too?
Yeah,
Like the 4-hour endurances and stuff.
Yeah, when I know PJ used to run a lot of the 4 hours at OVRP. I used to always show up on like a little NSR 50 or XR 100 and stuff, and I did that until I was 12. From the time I was like probably 6 to 12, and then I got on like a Ninja 250 and jumped up. But I got into racing because my godfather, and he was running like team promotion track days, not running it, but he was like kind of helping run the show over there. So he knew a guy that knew a guy, and turns out NJMP had this little mini GP series thing going on, and they were like, hey, like you should take him to go try it, because I would be riding my little XR50 through the pits, just rolling wheelies at like 6 years old, 8 years old, like, and just terrorizing everybody. And they were like, this kid needs to like go somewhere, preferably not here. And so they pointed us in that direction, and I just started going doing track days at first, and then was like, maybe we should try racing, and then just got into it super heavy.
What was like your first? Obviously, you did track days with them. What was your first race?
Dude, so kind of funny story. My first ever track day, we had the idle turned up a little high on my little XR50. I wheelied that thing right off the line into a coach and crashed both of us before we even got out of the pits, dude. We were still like in the pit lane. Just got into the pit lane, clicked the thing into first gear, wheelied it right into him, crashed both of us in the pit lane. And then first race was actually at NJMP on an NSR 50. Crashed on the line. Literally, like I was too small, like I couldn't hold the thing up, and I pulled up to the start and just dumped the thing over right on the line. So it didn't go too well, but I kept my head down and kept grinding it out.
Yeah, you're it's just you and you have a sister, right?
Yeah, I have an older sister, and she used to kind of ride with me too at the house.
Oh, really?
Because we have like a family farm, and we have a track there and stuff. And
You have animals?
yeah, we have a donkey. We had 8 goats and a bunch of chickens and stuff.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I used to get like attacked by these guinea hens when I was a little kid. I was like 4 years old and deathly afraid of guinea hens, dude. They used to like, they'd gang up on me. There'd be like 8 of them, and they would just start attacking me. Dude, there was multiple times like my mom had to come get me off the ground with all these birds on top of me, just like pecking me in the back and shit. It was terrifying.
That's so funny.
It is funny. That's hilarious.
People don't realize Jersey's like got actually a lot of farm, and it's like fairly redneck in certain parts of it.
Dude, they just think of like Snooki and shit.
Yeah,
And I'm over here
Jersey
like
Shore.
My
over
guy's
here.
GTLing at 12.
Oh yeah.
Out on the farm, back in the pasture.
Dude. Yeah, it's Jersey's not really what people think.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of people just assume that it's mostly like city or beach, and
Yeah.
it's like not like that at all where we're at. It's all farms.
Yeah. How did you end up? Was your family into farming, or like what were you?
My grandfather actually was a bull rider back in the day.
What?
And yeah, and
How come you didn't take that up?
dude, I would have got stomped out so hard. Yeah, I don't know. He was a bull rider, and he just like turned into a blacksmith, and then started a sheet metal shop, and just was running everything out of our like family farm. And we've just always had like as far back as like I've ever been told, like we've always had either horses or like some kind of farm animals, you know. And I don't know. I don't really know what the attraction to that lifestyle was, but I just kind of got brought up in that. So I've always kind of like, even now being in Florida, I don't have that, and it just something doesn't feel right about it, you know. Not having like my own property, my own space, and like kind of doing our own thing. But that's definitely a goal for sure in the future, is to like kind of have my own, like maybe not necessarily a farm, you know, with like farm animals, but have like my own property with like
Little compound.
yeah, little compound, maybe a couple goats or something, you know. I don't know.
A couple guinea hens, is that what you call them?
Dude, no more guinea hens. I'm terrified to this day.
Are those Italian? Are they? Why is that what you call them, guinea hens?
Dude, honestly, I don't really know what the deal is with those
Can we say
birds,
that
but
or no?
I don't know. I don't even know what they are.
Hey,
Are they just like regular hens?
Your podcast to get canceled online.
Are they just regular like chicken hens?
Dude, so they're like this weird little, like, almost like a chicken size and shape, but it's like, dude, they're gnarly birds.
You haven't explained anything about them yet.
It's hard to explain them, dude. They're like these little, like, round body bird, like.
That's
I
why
don't
we
know.
gotta hire one of those guys that
They're-
sits there like Rogan with
know.
like
Yeah,
the
we need
computer
Jamie.
screen.
Where's
We need
Jamie? I don't know,
know,
dude.
dude.
It's hard to explain like what a guinea hen is, but like, dude, they're like angry birds, bro.
Holy.
What is that? Looks like a peacock.
Yeah, it's like a peacock with no feathers, kind of.
Wait, that's a
That's a guinea fowl, dude. That's different.
But I think this is the same thing.
Really?
yeah.
I think so. Let me see it. Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Like,
Hey, Steve, you gotta pull that up on the screen when you
Dude,
edit this later.
Yeah. Look at
dude,
these
those things used to
They look-
terrorize me as a little kid. Because
Huh.
like my mom's house is right next door to my grandma's house, so I would walk like, you know, sometimes butt ass naked across the yard, you know, through the farm, and I'd get attacked by these damn things all the time.
You ever eat him?
No, no. But
Ross back here would eat him. He's on a bison diet. He only eats
He's only on guinea
the
hens.
purest of animals.
What is it? Havacora or whatever? Havacoca? Did you get it from Spain? There you go, Iberico.
Gets it imported straight from Spain.
This
dude,
guy, dude.
No, he said there's a factory in
that's
Jersey.
unreal.
Yeah, they ship only on Tuesdays.
Oh man.
So your farm, you have a track. What do you have stuff there? Like, I know you told me you've got a gym, you got a bunch of stuff there, but
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask. When was the last time you actually lived?
It's been almost like a year and a half or so.
So
since
you
I
were
lived
actually
there.
still at home when you came back to the U.S. That's
Yeah,
where you
yeah.
were actually living.
Yeah,
which is-
so when I was in Europe, I was obviously living there most of the year, and then I would come home and live at my mom's house because it's just like easier for me. You know, we had a gym at the house, and then we had the track at the farm, which was right next door. So pretty much had everything that I needed to be a competitive motorcycle racer. Really, you know, I mean, the track's like nothing special; it's just a woods track, but maybe like just over a minute loop. So it's like just big enough where you can get a workout in. You know, go put the seat time in, you know, whether you really want to do it or not. It's just for heart rate for me. So we had that, and then we had like a pretty dialed in gym, you know, at my mom's house, just kind of nothing fancy, but got the job done. And then Jersey's always got some like good roads and good mountain bike trails and stuff. So did a lot of cycling.
yeah, you got into mountain biking quite a bit.
Yeah, I was racing at one point, cross country. I mean, I wasn't that great at it, but I was doing it, you know. I loved it. I've been a big fan of cycling for probably like 5-6 years now. And it comes and goes for me, though. Like, you know, I get super addicted to it to the point where I'm like spending all of my money and time doing it. And then I'm like, all right, I need to calm it down here a little bit. And then I'll go get addicted to something else.
Dude, every post from Paasch is just intervals on Zwift. Dude, the classic, just laying on the bar, like dog.
Dude,
you need
I'm
to go outside.
getting the seat time in. Well, I couldn't, you know, because this year I've had so many hours of sitting inside, you know, not really being able to do anything. So I got into the Zwift thing, and I really got into the Zwifting when I was in England because I kept
Doesn't
getting
really
hurt there
help.
too. You know?
Didn't really help him, but
No, dude. I don't know. I've not been cycling honestly much in the past 2 years, really. Just like not even because of the injuries, just because I kind of almost fell out of love with it. You know, like I got so into it at one point where I just like almost wanted to give it up.
yeah,
You know,
it'll do that to you. It happened to me,
burns you out.
I just
big time.
never really got started. I
Dude,
prefer it that
you're
way.
a fucking e-bike guy. Get out of here.
Get a
Dude,
real bike, dude.
I know, dude.
Dude, I finally got
Dude,
a
literally,
bicycle, dude. I'm big into it now.
You have a button that just like propels you. Get out of here. you have a moped with fucking pedals, dude.
I feel like that's what people think an e-bike is too. When people are like, "Is that an e-bike?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You even pedal?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude." Sorry,
But
I'm not
dude, you
Brandon
gotta-
Paasch or fucking James
No, but
Rispoli.
you can pedal now because you're factory,
I'm factory.
dude. You got all the gear now,
I know. Jimmy hooked me up on Pedal Mafia now.
Dude.
dude.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the code, but it's all right.
Dude, we go way back. We go way back, dude. You know what I mean? It's a Christmas present
Yeah.
for my
Well,
dog.
yeah. Show me your Christmas present, dude. I didn't even get you. Was it even a Christmas present, or was that just a?
I
That
don't.
was a factory ride. That was a factory ride present.
I guess I'm waiting for my Christmas present still. Then
Yeah, me too.
no.
What do you feel like not having graduated, you like missed out on anything? That's something, and it's a common theme. Like at this point, people that listen to our podcast now probably see that among racers. Like it's like 50-50 that people actually go all the way through high school. Do you feel like you actually missed out on anything, or because you were so you had obviously a group of friends at the track and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like that certain, some aspects where you're like, damn, maybe it would have been cool to like go do the whole like prom deal or whatever. But like, I got my fair share of partying in and like and stuff. Like I did all that stuff, but just not with people from school. Like, so I don't know. I mean, I don't really feel like I've missed out on anything. Like, I'm not like, man, I wish I could go back and redo it. Like, I'm definitely happy with the decision that I made. And I've never had that, like, I wish I could have gone back and done this or that. I've just always been like, this is all I've ever wanted to do, and this is what I'm doing. And I've never had like a
You had a plan
regret
A,
or whatever. Yeah.
no plan B.
No plan B. And I feel like you kind of have to have that to an extent. Because if you're plan B, you're planning for failure, kind of within reason.
Big words. Have you? Did you play any other sports or anything growing up?
Dude, yeah, I wrestled all through school and then ran track. That was it.
Who would win in a little wrestling match? You or Corey Texter?
I don't know. I mean,
Flexter.
dude, probably Corey, just because he's so like.
He's got that dad strength.
Dude, he's the bear.
Yeah, he's don't poke the bear, dude. Don't poke the bear. Nah, I don't know. Probably, yeah. I wouldn't even want to wrestle Corey.
He does get that crazy look in his eyes. I'd be a little scared.
Yeah.
That's cool. What about, like, obviously there's certain parts of growing up at home and going to school. Like, do you have friends at home anymore that you grew up with, or is it like basically just racing is all you've got now at this point?
Dude, yeah, I don't really. Honestly, I never followed up with anybody from my school. Like, the day I dropped out was the last day that I spoke to anybody from that school, and I never, dude. Somebody hit me up actually like a few months ago and was like, "Dude, I thought you died." Like, there's somebody that I went to school with. They were like, "I thought you died. Like, we just never heard anything. You never said
Just
anything.
sent
You
him a
just
picture
left."
with the rollies, like,
Dude,
No. No.
Yeah, it was weird.
My guy just like,
no, I'm
just
thriving,
responded
just
like
like that.
thriving.
Oh man.
Fingers up. No, I guess when I left school, I didn't really like communicate that I was leaving school with anybody, and I just kind of left and started doing my own thing. And yeah, I never followed up with any of the kids that I was even like kind of friends with in school. I was never really like a big friends guy though either. You know, like all I wanted to do was ride. So I would go home and go ride every single day at our farm. Didn't hang out with anybody other than like people that would come to my house and ride, or I would go to like Maz's house and go ride, or like Casey Tobolewski would come ride. We'd have like a few people, or Eric Stump used to come all the time, dude. I used to hang out with Eric a lot when I was younger. I was probably like 12 and he was, I don't know how old, but he was probably hitting on my sister. That's probably what the deal was. But looking back on it, but it was cool having somebody like him, like a local dude that was like, he was fast, and having somebody to kind of chase after. It was cool having like Eric come over and stuff. I don't know where he's at, but I hope he's doing all right.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you were growing up and you first started racing, was Paulie like, who was the guy that would bring you to the races early on? Did your mom bring you to the races?
My godfather.
Okay, always.
Yeah,
okay.
Always my godfather. And then, my mom, every now and again, when he couldn't make it, she would kind of tough it out and bring me.
What was it? Your mom supported you? If I told my parents I was dropping out of school, they would have just been like, "You're done racing."
Yeah, so the deal with that whole dropping out thing is we tried the online school route. So actually, Corey Texter was my guardian, my legal guardian for a couple years when I was freshman to junior.
3 kids now.
He was my like actual legal guardian, and I did online school for like a year and a half through his like address.
Wow.
And I kind of lived with him on and off for like 2-3 years. And yeah, there was one time I didn't do my schoolwork, and I was supposed to race the amateur stuff at Daytona, and I didn't finish my homework, and he was like, "Nah, you're not riding."
Hey, good on him. Good on him.
At the time, I was pretty pissed, though. I was like 14, 15, and I was like, dude, you're an asshole. Like, let me ride. But now I understand, why he did that. But in the moment, I was just like, dude, come on, let me ride. But
that's pretty good on him.
It's pretty wild, though, that he was like my legal guardian.
It is.
Yeah. Why'd you go that route?
There was like this whole big thing with like the online schooling back then, where like in Jersey it cost like, I don't remember what it was, but it was a decent amount of money, and we were like, dude, we just really kind of can't afford that. So PA had it for free.
Oh
and
yeah.
I was like, all right, Corey, you want to be my guardian, and I'll like come do your training program or whatever, and do online school through your address. So.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure Brandon Robinson did it, and I want to say Shayna did it too.
It was a cyber charter school.
We were all in on this like online school. I had a different one, but they were all in this cyber charter school thing. Yeah.
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 That was the only reason that I did it through Corey's was just because it was free, and we couldn't really afford to like pay all this money to do that on top of racing,
Yeah.
So that was really it. But then Corey kind of jumped in and started training me and stuff from a young age. That's why I got really into like staying up on my fitness. I'm not, like I said, I'm not like the most fit guy, but Corey kind of jump started that whole thing for me, getting my mind thinking towards like, it would help to be in shape to race, and it's kind of just stuck with me.
Yeah. I've obviously like very public on social media. What do you do like on a daily for training? It's pretty. You do a lot of bicycling, but do you do other stuff?
Honestly, most of the like my career, I only did cycling, and then actually riding because I would ride every single day. But now that I'm on the big bike, I kind of started doing a little bit more gym stuff, normal stuff. Kind of everybody knows kind of what to do as far as like for racing. I feel like most riders kind of have similar sort of program. So it's a lot of core.
Dude, I got an e-bike.
A lot of core and upper body, a little bit. I mean, I'm not a big upper body kind of guy, I like to stay skinny, but
Dude, when he comes train with a hog, we do legs.
big leg job.
We do legs.
Yeah, my legs were burning for a couple days.
That's what happens.
Really?
Big day.
Bro, we had a
Gave
big
it to
day.
him?
We had a big day.
Dude, I saw the 20 strain on the whoop, dude.
Dude, we had a big day.
20.5.
Woof, woof.
The dog was barking, dude. Big time.
The dogs.
Yeah. No, that was a good day.
It was a good day.
All right, we're just going to hop into the next segment here. As you guys hopefully know by now, Law Tigers is a partner of ours. And so we do this segment. It's called the Law Tigers Get Out of Jail Free card, where we got our guest over here and we're going to hit him with a question. But first, if you get into an accident on your motorcycle, hopefully, obviously nobody wants to have that happen, but you can call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. They're America's motorcycle lawyers, and they will get you out of whatever issues you've got at 100% no cost to you. And, they're going to get you back out on the road and get you in good shape. So, like we said, give them a call.
1-800-LAW-TIGERS.
God damn it, James.
It's all right, dude. We're good.
So hit us. What's your deal? What is it?
Dude, there's been a few times, to be honest with you, that I probably should have, gotten a little bit of trouble. But honestly, the most tame one that I could probably even say is just speeding. And then, you whip out the gold card and they're like, all right, dude, just slow down. And
What's the gold card?
Like the Daytona 200?
No,
multi-time winner card?
Like FOP card.
What's an FOP card?
Family and police.
Oh, you're a dog.
Dude, lifesaver. Shout out to old Uncle Earl and Uncle Joe getting me out of trouble. Love it.
So there's nothing in specific?
I mean, dude, I don't know. I don't really know how deep I should go on that. Just like with the sending it, like, I don't know. It gets squirrely out there in the
Dude,
streets.
you post
sometimes.
videos doing burnouts on your Supermoto on the road all the time.
I guess, yeah, but I don't really, knock on wood, I haven't really gotten.
I mean, the stuff in New York, I feel like you should have gone for jail for that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay, we're going to switch it up from speeding on the road. We're going to go to the burnout in Times Square. Should have probably gone to jail for that.
So, like, what made you do that? Like, clicks? Like,
yeah.
How did you, like, go, hey, you know what, this is so sick, we should do this? And then, like, was your heart pumping? Like, were you scared or no?
I was definitely a little nervous. Like, I didn't really know what to expect, because there's a lot of police, like, in that area in general. And this was a Paul Allison idea. That was the problem here.
Really?
Yeah, he was
calling him out.
He was like, you know what you should do? Go down there to Times Square, give us a little burnout. And I was like, all right, cool. The next one was we were gonna, like, the next day wheelie the Brooklyn Bridge in the walking section on the 450.
Ooh.
We didn't get to do that yet, but yeah, that's probably a good get out of jail card would be that burnout in Times Square. The whole thought process behind it was literally just to kind of doing it for the views, doing it for the likes, not to be that guy, but as well as anybody else, that's the best way to kind of promote yourself is getting people riled up on social media. And that's a lot with why I do a lot of the things that I do online. Okay. It's not because I'm that guy. It's just because I'm, just trying to get my career in a good place.
So I guess that kind of rolls right into, like, you have been known to be that guy.
Yeah.
And even though you're not that guy.
I might be a little bit. I don't know.
Where did
it's up for debate.
But, like, where did that stem from? Like, you kind of had this, you kind of blew up out of nowhere. Realistically, I know you kind of started the Supermoto movement on Instagram, like, for, I don't know, the MotoAmerica guys, I guess. Yeah. And it really started taking off. But you also, once you started getting some views, kind of, I want to say, went down this Conor McGregor,
yeah,
I don't give a fuck mentality. Where did that kind of come from?
There's a lot to that, really.
Let's unpack it.
So when it all really first started, the only thing that it started with was I'm a young broke kid that wants to go race a motorcycle, and I need to get eyes on me to try and financially support what I'm trying to do. That's the only reason that any of it started. Like the whole social media goofing off, like sending it on the Supermoto, doing stupid stuff on the streets. Like that's the only reason. Was just in my head, it was okay. Like the more people that I can get to see this, the better chance that I have of either getting a better ride or pulling in a sponsor or whatever the case is. That was it. And then, it kind of spirals a little bit. The ball starts rolling and the snowman starts building as the ball's rolling down the hill, and you see other people kind of doing stuff online and you kind of get drug into it a little bit. And, I've watched a lot of McGregor stuff, right? So like you kind of see his like blueprint to an extent, and it was like, okay, well, nobody does that in racing. Like, why don't I like start doing that? I took it a little bit the wrong way, probably, right, at certain points, but it was never even the beef that I've had, quote, beef with other riders or whatever. It's never really anything personal. Like, it's honestly, it's not all a show, right? Because sometimes I do feel a certain way about certain people for doing certain stuff, but most of it's really just building my brand to an extent. Whether you like it or you hate it, you're going to click on it, and that's really all it is. It's not like, some of the stuff that I say, maybe I don't even necessarily feel that way towards that person, but I know it's going to either get that person riled up and they're now going to either be making mistakes or clapping back on social media, or it's going to get fans engaged or whatever the case is. So, a lot of it, it's not, like I said, it's not necessarily a persona, but it's strategic. There's a plan behind it. Like, I want to get people riled up, whether they love it or they hate it. I want people talking about it. The more people that talk about it, the more the videos and whatever else gets shared, the better it is for me and everybody else that I'm talking about.
How does that? Oh, do you want to?
I was just gonna say, at what point does that become more about racing or not, and less about racing and more just about being a influencer?
It's definitely a blurred line, right?
Yeah.
Because there's people like me, Heron, a couple guys that kind of do the social media stuff, right? And it's tricky because you get certain sponsors that are like, hey, we don't like this. But then you have other sponsors that do like it and they want you to do more of it. So it's a very, what's going to impact the result of the race rather than your social media following, really.
So it all stems back to making sure that you walk that line so you can continue to race and do what you love.
Yeah, and it's difficult, right? Because, I want to talk shit to people like Heron because I know he gets riled up. And that's part of it, right? Like, it's entertaining for me, and I know if I'm like sitting there laughing about it, I'm like, somebody else is either going to be laughing about it or getting mad about it, so like that's really where that stems from. Like, I don't do it necessarily to be an asshole.
So I guess at one point does it, and have you felt like this ever where maybe you've said something that has blurred the lines and it now starts to impact your mental side, where maybe did I go too far, or maybe like, was that okay, or is my sponsor going to be, do you think like that? Have you, or is it,
yeah, no,
you
definitely.
shoot, gone?
Definitely. There's been some stuff that I've definitely said and done that I've been like, probably shouldn't have did that, but at that point it's too late, right? Like, it's already out there and it's like, all right, well, I did it, so I got to stand on that, And I think it's one of those things, as long as you, whatever you do, as long as you either, fully own up to it, whether it's good or bad or whatever, I did that. That's me. Maybe I messed up. Maybe I didn't. You got to own up to it either way. And that's just kind of where I'm at with it. Like, I've definitely done some stuff where, I don't think it was probably the right way to go about certain situations. And I do think certain sponsors for sure look at some of the stuff that I've done and been like, dude, what are you doing? But I think that's part of the past year and a half, like we were saying before, where I kind of started growing up a little bit. I stopped kind of doing a lot of that stuff on social media and Shaky had that talk with me a few times, like, just let your riding do the talking, dude. You don't need to be talking shit online. He's right.
He was probably the king of that too. Like I remember Shaky and Brooksy, that whole deal was gnarly. Going in for the championship, and dude, the Shakes there just like didn't even comment. Just head down when he had Brooksy just absolutely chirping.
And that's a whole nother way to look at it too, right? Because that's something that's gonna make the dude that you're racing be like, does he even care? Like, does he even care what I'm saying?
Brooksy did some nasty shit. You know, we won't talk about it, but he did some nasty shit. But yeah,
I mean, even
fully respect Shaky.
Like, I don't know I don't want to really bring him up, but the Heron thing, for example, like that didn't start from like a negative place. That started from like I sent him a message and said, hey, I won the 200 last year, or maybe it was I won the 200 last year. You're coming in, you're on factory team. Like, people are expecting you to probably win the race. Like, let's get it going a little bit on social media, get people fired up, like get some more interest. It's going to help both of us. And he hit me back with you're not on my level. And I took that as like, I was like, all right, well, that just started it right there. I'm just going to go in on you, like, regardless what you think. And, you know, he says that it didn't mean that, like, skill level or whatever. He says that it meant his social media was way bigger than mine at the time, and he's not going to give away following for free or whatever he said afterwards, which is fine. But I took it as, you're not on my level, like, on the track. And I was like, excuse me? Like, dude, no chance. So I just started going in on him, you know, and probably not the right thing to do, but it definitely got him riled up, and it got a lot of people talking about it. And we've both had people ask us about why we don't like each other, and neither one of us have like a reason, really, you know, other than he says I talk shit, and I do talk shit, but it's strategic, you know. It's because he talks about it, and he's got just as big of a following, if not a little bigger following than me. So why wouldn't I? You know, it's getting the pot stirred.
What have you actually gotten out of your following? Like, what's like one of the biggest things that come out of all this?
Honestly, I've been put into some cool, like, little partnerships and cool events that I've gotten invited to and stuff. Like, you know, I try to not give away some of the, you know, names and things that I kind of not am like involved with in like a weird way, but like, you know how it is, dude. There's not that much money going around, right, in racing. So you start giving out names, and then everybody jumps on it. You get 10 people are going after the same guy because they're like, oh, well, they're spending money in racing, you know, and then you get 10 people jumping on that instead of going and looking for your own thing because they think it's easier to go after one, which there's a logic to it, right? Like, it probably is easier. Like, if they're going to spend money, like Mission Foods, for example, there's how many people sponsored by the same company, you know? So I don't know. I try to not give away as much of that kind of stuff as I can just for that reason.
So do you have like silent partners that don't have logos?
Yeah.
So you actually have
not like corporate companies, but like just like people that are like fans of what I do and want to see me do well. You know, I'm sure Corey, you probably have the same, right? Like people from back home, Northeast, that are just like, here's a couple dollars to go race, you know, but I don't want anything from it. You know, that sort of deal where they just want to see you do good.
Yeah, but is that because of your social media? I guess my question is,
I don't know if that's necessarily
like, are you seeing the return on the investment of like the time and even like mental capacity? Obviously, it seems like in the last year and a half, you've kind of like started to understand like what the real value of it actually is. But like, you know, I know for Heron, you know, we obviously had the podcast with him, but you can see like he's figured out a way to monetize his following and stuff like that. I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
have you seen that yet?
A little bit, not much, really. You know, I mean, but I'm not selling anything, really. You know, like I'm not pushing a product. I'm not pushing a company. I'm not pushing anything. I'm just doing it it's always been for fun and to just get my name out there.
But you are.
Yeah, myself. I'm the product.
Everybody that,
I guess,
any logo that you run, you push.
Yeah.
Involuntarily.
Yeah.
Like this video behind you. So essentially you are.
Yeah. You're right. But nothing like where I'm like, oh, go buy this or whatever, you know? Like I don't do like that kind of stuff. But to me, the social media thing, I think I said it before, but like it's kind of growing my image and growing my brand, which is just getting my name out there. That's all I've ever wanted from it. I never really cared about the money side of it, really, to be honest with you. I do think that I've been put in certain seats on the track because of my following, you know, or been helped to get certain rides because of it. You know, I don't think it's hurt me.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, maybe some of the stupid stuff I've said's kind of maybe had a marginal negative impact, but then you know, that goes away after a little while, as long as you don't say anything too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think luckily you're young enough to where people have that, and you have that on your side where people just say, well, he's just kind of, you know, he's just a dumb kid. He's just kind of grown up, which I think hopefully you are. But, you know, even as a young kid, I remember you always had a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, like just like little, you know, 10-year-old shithead walking around in the paddock. Like
I think everybody's called you a shithead once.
Yeah.
Dude, more than once.
Yeah.
For sure. I was definitely, you know, I mean, I still am to an extent, but I kind of keep it to myself a little bit more now than I used to. Like I used to just walk around with it like out there for everybody, like I'm gonna be the big dog, so you guys should be paying attention kind of deal. And now it's just more like I'm in a good situation. I don't need to talk and stir the pot. Like I need to just focus on myself and get after it. And I think that's too, you know, it's just part of growing up. You know, coming from the Northeast, everybody's kind of talking shit. You know, when you all through school, everybody's like talking shit at the lunch table or whatever. So you kind of just, in my opinion, that's where it kind of started, was just being a kid, you know. And then I realized like, okay, I'm kind of good at this, so I'm gonna just not rub it in people's face, but just be, you know, like boast about it, because that's the only thing that I've ever done that I've ever been good at, you know. So for me, it was just like I'm more like proud of it than trying to like put other people down, but it comes across the other way sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Joe Roberts had a question. He was in here the other or a few hours ago. He wanted to know, I asked him, I said, well, you know, you got a question for BP? He said he wanted to know what was up with the two Rolexes, walking around with the two Rolexes on.
Two Rolexes. Dude, every now and again, you just got to do it. You know, I mean, had he won two of them, he'd probably do the same thing, but he hasn't.
I don't know. I don't think Joe would.
No, maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he wouldn't.
No,
But
I mean, he had a ripped shirt on.
Yeah,
like coming through.
He's got that LA fashion going on.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know.
Yeah, but dude, fucking glasses. Now I'm like, maybe he would.
Yeah, the glasses company is sponsored by are like outrageous, but
dude, it's crazy.
But either way, you know,
that's just one of those things where it's like, dude, I've worked so hard to win both of those things. Where it's like, every now and again, I'm gonna just let the people know, give them a little reminder. Like, I put the work in. I won two Rollies that are pretty damn cool, and you know, if somebody's got a problem with it, go win two of them and put one on ice and don't wear it. You know,
you ever think at some point it's like, you know, worth more to be kind of humble in your accomplishments versus
for sure.
Outward?
For sure. Because you get that stigma of like, this is a rich kid, you know.
Just because you have two Rolexes?
Yeah, dude. Like people think like, okay, well now this kid has two Rollies, and like they don't know the full story.
I don't mean just about the Rolexes.
You know?
I just mean in general about, you know, you go out and win the Superbike championship this year. Like, are you gonna, you know, carry your trophy around with you all year long afterwards? You know what I mean? Like, is it, you know,
the Rolexes to me is a little bit different. You know, where it's like it's not like it's a trophy, but it isn't kind of deal. You know, like to me that's different. Like I don't know. That's the only thing that I've won that I've ever really like kind of flaunted it a little bit. And that's just to me is because it's so like all I've wanted to do is win the 200, and I've done it twice. So I'm like just pumped on it, you know, like it's not like a dig at anybody for doing it, you know. It's
but do you think if you won something maybe more, I don't want to knock on your championships, but like Moto3 championship, a KTM championship,
a big bike championship would be a little different, right?
Would you know, that's interesting.
No,
like,
I don't think
something as prestige. Everybody knows the 200 is prestige. Everybody's fought for the Rolexes. I mean, it's sick. Everyone knows it's fucking sick. But I just wonder if like,
no, I don't think for me, you know, now especially the past like 2 years, I've been dying off with the like cocky kind of asshole status, you know, like
evolving a bit.
Well, it's kind of like, I don't know, you always see, like we talk about, especially in New York, like there's like LA money, there's Miami money, and then there's like New York money, where like New York money, people walk around and you'd never know that they're, you know, minted, and that's just, you get to a certain point in your life, or, you know, wealth or success, where it's just like, it doesn't mean anything, you know, you don't have anything to prove to anybody, or whatever the case is, you know.
Like Gagne.
Yeah.
Dude, the guy doesn't post on social media ever.
Or Cam Bobier.
Or Bobier.
I don't even think he, you know,
There's also definitely like everybody's got a different personality too, right? So like for me, it wouldn't be like I'm not gonna go carry around my Superbike championship trophy, but I probably would stir the pot a little bit, you know, just like gets people fired up, dude. Like I want people to be like engaged, you know, come to the races.
What do you think drives that though?
I don't know.
Like what do you like? You say it fires you up. Like what is that actually doing for you?
Honestly, the more that I like in like the past, right? Like I don't really do it so much now, but in previous years, the more that I've like talked shit, the more that I have to perform. So it's like I have to put in the work. I don't have a choice. Like I just said something about Heron on Instagram. Now I need to go to the gym today. I need to go cycle.
So
I need to put the work in.
You've used it as a motivation.
Kind of holds me accountable. Because if I'm going to say something stupid, I got to be able to try and back it up.
For sure.
Like, so either if you're going to talk, you better be ready to try and back it up. And you better at least be close. Because if you're not close, then you just look like an idiot. You know? So it's one of those things where like...
It's kind of the Floyd Mayweather technique. Like, I mean, dude's never lost. You know?
I mean, I've lost a lot.
I understand, but during that little up peering, you were having a lot of success.
Yeah.
You know, 2 back-to-backs. I mean, like, you can kind of start to assume, you know, however the race was, they just remember, you know, the last races. So that's an interesting. So you use that like kind of like just a accountable motivation. Yeah. You got to perform. So kind of does it put pressure on you?
It does put pressure on you for sure, but I kind of enjoy that to an extent. You know, obviously there's a point where it's too much, right? But like that little bit of pressure where you just like makes you wake up every day and be like, I better get after it, you know, because if I don't, I'm going to get beat. And if I get beat, now I look stupid. It's one of those things. Have
you gone, you know, obviously everyone has periods where they feel like they're not doing as well or they get down or whatever, but have you felt the repercussions of that? Like, you know, not living up to some kind of outward expectation you put out there about yourself?
I don't really think so, to be honest, because the only time really that I've put that kind of thing out there is really with the 200. You know, I had a little bit of a go-in with like Jeff May before Stock 1000.
The old like, dog. That was that was the funniest one, dude.
Like, that's whatever. I don't really care about that. But like the 200 is really the only one that I've ever really like talked shit about before doing it, and then I backed it up twice. So it's like for me, I've never really put myself in that position and then not like at least been close to getting the job done. You know, so. I don't know, like the BSB stuff. I never opened my mouth because I knew it was gonna be tough, you know. Or like Stock 1000, I talked a little bit of shit probably, but I expected to do better than I did, and I kind of let myself down. And then the Superbike thing. Now I'm not like, I don't know. I know my place.
So that's interesting you say that, but like just continue on the 200 thing. You've won it twice. How difficult is the race, and did you know you were gonna win it? Or was it a crapshoot both times? Like I know, like the one year there was some different flags, a red flag, and it was a sprint and whatever. I mean, and you won it on 2 different manufacturers, which is something that's else is like crazy. Like for people that may not know, like how much is it the team? How much is it the rider? How much is it luck? I mean, I've only done 1 200, so
there's definitely some luck to it, right? I mean, it's 58 laps, 59 laps around Daytona where you're wide open most of the way, right? Like anything can happen.
57 laps.
Is it?
Yeah.
Good thing they don't let me count the laps in my head because I'd be off. But no, I mean, for whatever reason, I think it was probably a little bit to do with the Moto3 stuff where I went to Daytona and I just knew the draft game. You know, I could play the draft good. My size fit the 600 better than a Moto3. I could play the draft. I understood, you know, timing of it. I know the timing well. I went there for the first time in probably 2017 when I was riding for M4. That was my first ever test on their bike, was at Daytona for whatever reason. So I rode there, and then I did the 200 in 2019, and it was me and Bobby Fong out front, 5 laps to go, red flagged it. Kyle Wyman wins. I'm sitting there pissed off because I just got 5th, but I was gonna do what I did the 2 years that I won it. Like I was sitting behind Bobby just waiting for the last lap. So that year kind of was a little frustrating for me, but I knew that like I could be in the fight, and in my head that just confirmed like, okay, you can compete with these guys, you know. So then the next year it was like, all right, I'm gonna talk some shit, you know, show up, get everybody fired up, go for the win again. And then the COVID thing happened that year. We didn't even get to race. We did qualifying. I qualified shit. I was like 10th or something. I was like, good thing we're not racing this year because this ain't looking too good. And then the next year was I won it 2021. I don't know that I necessarily knew I was going to win. I think at a certain point in the race, I was not content with the fact that I was going to finish second, but I was starting to accept that I was more than likely going to finish second because I had an 11-second gap to make up on the last stint to SDK at the front. So, you know, Daytona is not one of those places where you're really going to be able to close a gap like that. You know, I mean, it's pretty wide open, especially drafting lappers that deep in the race. Like it's usually pretty hard to close a gap, especially that big with 17 laps to go, 15 laps to go. 11 seconds is a tall ask. And I just kept my head down the first few laps of that one in particular, and I could see him coming. He was coming out of NASCAR 2 when I first came back onto the track. And then the next lap, he was, you know, in between NASCAR 1 and 2. And then the next lap, he was, like, coming out of NASCAR 1. And then the next lap, I couldn't see him anymore. And I was like, damn, like, where did he go? Like, I didn't know what happened. And I slowly started seeing him in the infield. I was like, all right, I got you. Who's going to dig deeper now? You know, like, it was one of those things, like, I'm not giving up. I'm either going to crash this thing or I'm catching him by the end of the race. And I think I caught him with, like, 5 laps to go and just sat there. And I was like, you ain't going nowhere now. I'm here, you know, and didn't show him anything. And then I pretty much knew, you know, I kind of knew where I could draft him and not get passed back. And I almost messed it up the first year because I'd, like, drafted him around the outside like a dog who goes to the outside. I draft him around the outside, and then he goes back around me and just past the line past me again. So had I passed him 10 feet earlier, I wouldn't have won. Like, I would have got redrafted because I drafted him way back on the, you know, you come out of NASCAR 4 and then it kind of flattens out. I drafted him all the way back there and, like, kind of ran him to the line. And he almost redrafted me. And then I just kind of learned from that the next year. There was, like, that big group. It was me, Peterson, Hayes, and Marias, I think. And
yeah, but that year, didn't Marias roll or something out of the...
Yeah.
Because you had weird gearing, and
yeah.
it was first year, it was Triumph, and I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I know, like, you had amazing tire life, didn't quite have the gearing to make it work, but... And wasn't really in the fight at all.
No.
You just sat.
I chilled the whole race. That was pretty much just like if I pull this off, I'm going to look like a genius. But if I don't pull it off, you know, it's like you know, he couldn't really do anything with him the whole race anyway, so solid 4th. But I kind of knew, you know, that last lap, I knew whoever was leading was going to try and roll. And I knew the people behind him weren't going to pass him because nobody's dumb enough to lead on the last lap, you know. Or I mean, somebody's got to be dumb enough to lead, but otherwise nobody's getting to the line, obviously. But I knew I wasn't going to be the one leading, and I kind of just chilled in 4th, and they all started checking up and then going, and I knew the Triumph had pretty good bottom end, so I was like, all right, they're going to check up, and this thing's going to pull pretty hard out of the chicane, so I wasn't really worried. And then I knew I could pass 2 of them in the draft and not 3. So I kind of got up alongside Hayes, and I was like, you're beat. You're out of the draft. Kind of bumped him out of the draft a little bit, you know, coming out of NASCAR 4. And then I just kind of had that Moto 3 draft come into play and somehow pulled it off. I don't know. I mean, that one was almost so close that I didn't really know what happened. Like, I had a feeling that I won because I kind of sucked the paint off that R6 on the way past, but at the same time, it was that close at the line that you're just like, did I get it? And then you look over and see the big scoreboard, and you're like, no way, 2 in a row, we did it. That's sick. And it was party time after that.
What's the feeling like? You know, going back the year before, being the youngest road winner of the Daytona 200, and and I think you took it from Heron.
Yeah,
How
I took
does-
it from Heron, and also had SDK won it, he would have been the youngest all time, dirt or asphalt. So to kind of steal it out of his little hands felt good too. I don't have a problem with him. I don't have a problem with him. I
This kid just can't not talk shit.
dude,
Beef.
I just went on this whole rant about how I don't talk
SDK
shit.
in his little baby hands.
No, I'm just messing around. No, at that time though, it was like I wanted to beat him so bad because we're like the same age almost.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and
you
like,
guys
it
are
was
kind
just
of fighting for
competitive.
the same.
Yeah, it was just competitive, and like it did feel good. It did feel good, but
Baby
hands. What was that?
Guy next door just warming it up at 10 p.m. for tomorrow morning.
No, yeah, that one though, like, felt cool, you know, because I had almost won it 2 years prior, you know, and then to kind of, in my opinion, like right my wrongs almost of like what I didn't do right the first time, and then didn't get to do the year after that with COVID, then to finally be able to like check it off the list.
Yeah.
You know.
What was it like kind of last year? You know, obviously not being able to win it, but being very close. Was that, you know, obviously 2 years in a row, you kind of have an expectation now, or
Yeah.
feel like an added pressure maybe?
Dude, last year, that was the most pressure I've ever felt going into the 200. Like, just...
Was it because all the
mainly-
shit talking? Or?
No, I didn't even really... I don't think I wasn't talking that much shit last year. It was mainly just the fact that it was like, all right, there's some history on the line here. You know, nobody's ever done 3 in a row. There's a reason nobody's ever done 3 in a row. Like...
And like a lot of big hitters came out.
Yep.
Like you had Attack, Heron on pretty much a factory Ducati. I mean, you had a lot of big hitters kind of come out versus, I don't want to say you didn't have them in the other years, but it was definitely lacking
Yeah.
compared.
Well, so the first year that I won it, it was only me, Eslick, and SDK were like the hitters. And then the second year, Heron was there, Peterson was there. That was like their first time doing it in a while. You know, that was the first year of MotoAmerica. But last year was definitely more intense. You know, PJ showed up. You had definitely more guys.
12 guys in the lead group in the beginning.
Yeah, and there's going to be more this year.
This year's going to be chaos.
More this year. But, you know, everybody says, oh, it's getting deeper. But you can only go so fast at Daytona. You know, the 600s can only go so fast there.
Yeah, the pack's just going to get bigger, though.
Yeah, the pack's just going to get bigger. So
Yeah,
then it's
so
going to be
it's
more crafty is what it's going to come down to. Who's smarter.
Or pit stops.
And pit stops, yes.
And do you, for people that don't know, do you change, like, is that a normal thing for everybody to change tires front and rear?
I think so.
Have you ever not?
The year that I won it on the Triumph, we changed one... I want to say we did one set at the first pit stop and then ran that the rest of the race.
That's insane. Pirellis or Dunlops?
Pirellis.
Wow.
And, you know, the lap that I was coming into the pits, I remember going up on the NASCAR 1, spinning out a barrel corner, just saying to myself, thank God I'm coming in for a tire. And I got in and they were like, no, it looks good. Run it. And I was like, what? They're like, yep, get back on it. Go, go, go. And I just jumped on it and I was like, Jesus, I'm screwed. Thing worked good
Worked
though.
out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it did work because I was kind of sat in the draft the whole time. I saved the tire and saved the fuel, so it was like I was smart about running the used tire ready. Like I wasn't just overriding the thing and burning it up even more. Like I knew it was kind of gone anyways from the beginning of that stint, so I was like, there's no point in pushing the pace, right? Like if I think I was with Hayes and Marias, and we were going after Peterson, so it was like, I'm not going to lead the charge going after Peterson here. Like they're catching him. I can see they're catching him. I'm just going to sit here and why put in the extra effort and burn the tire off kind of deal, you know?
Mm. What do you think the Triumph we talked about before about, you know, like nobody racing it in super sport for whatever reason, one or another, but do you think that bike not really being maybe balanced as much, you know, helps or hurts, or like, you know, because you get obviously the Suzuki, the Ducati, the Kawasaki, they're out there all year long, the R6. So MotoAmerica had a year of basically kind of balancing those bikes out, and the Triumph doesn't show up at all. So do you think that helps or hurts?
I don't know necessarily that it like is hurting the bike, that it's not there, I guess, like from a technical point of view, but I do think that somebody is missing out on riding that thing. You know,
Yeah.
I do think that there's something there that if it's in the right hands and has the right crew around it, it can be a competitive machine, 100%. You know, like when I raced that thing in the BSB, I mean, I only had one, but I had a pole position, a couple podiums. Like it's a competitive bike. It's just
Why don't you think? You think Triumph just doesn't care in America?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask too. It's crazy. You know, we won the 200 on it. It seemed like it would be like a natural thing for them to be like, all right, we're gonna go actually.
yeah. I don't think that it's like I don't know. I think they care, right? But they don't care enough. You know, it's one of those things. There's just not enough support for it. If Triumph was going to say, "Here's $2 million, go put together a solid program and bring that to like a team," you know, somebody would be on it. But there's no. I won the 200 on the Triumph and got no bonus money. Like, there's no incentive to ride the thing. Like, why would I spend X amount of dollars to build a Triumph and then race it when there's no bonus
No
for doing it?
contingency or anything.
Yeah, you know, and
That's
I'm not.
insane.
That's I'm not like trying to
Yeah.
smash Triumph right now, but like that's just the fact. Like
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it. If there was bonus money from Triumph, I think people would be like,
Let's look at it.
let's try it. And there's just no incentive to do it. And, you know, I guess also maybe the right people haven't gone about trying to put together the team, right? Like TOBC would have been the right people to do it, but Michelle is not in the position to do that. So yeah, I don't know. I just think that the right combination of people haven't been put in the room together.
Yeah, I mean, for sure that's why. But I just thought, like, especially after you winning the 200, you would have thought that they would have realized that the bike is super competitive. They could win on it. So
I wanted to. I actually was trying to put something together, and we just couldn't make it happen from a budget point of view. It wasn't possible.
yeah, racing's tough, man. It's expensive. It's, you know, your friends like Gus Rodeo, and obviously he's kind of been the next generation underneath you, right? And,
Yep.
And so it's hard. What do you think for like those kids that are coming up? What do you see for them as someone who's kind of, I mean, for us as kids, we had it probably as good as it was going to get in the last, I guess it's 15 years ago now. But, you know, beyond that, it's like, it seems it just gets harder and harder with like every class of kids.
And we thought it was tough.
Yeah.
Right.
Like we went through the credit crunch, you know, whatever. And I mean, we were like, man, we missed out big.
I mean, I'm sure you've seen from running your own program, like it's getting harder every year to bring the right amount of money in to just get the program rolling, let alone pay your bills and like live off of racing motorcycles, right? So like, I don't know. If I was a younger guy, I mean, I don't think that the rodeos aren't doing it right. Or, yeah, I don't think that they're doing it wrong. You know what I mean? Like they're going about it as best as they possibly can, especially for running their own program. Like Kev Dog is a business guy, you know, big business guy. So he's like he's smart about the way that they're going about it as far as like building their own like brand and image around their team and doing the social media kind of deal. And I don't know. I don't really know what advice I would even give to somebody that's even looking to get started.
If you were trying to give yourself advice starting again, would you tell yourself to do it in this economic time? Right? If you were whatever in school and you were gonna have to go through the same trajectory.
If you're in ninth grade about to drop out, would you do it again?
It depends why you're doing it, right? Like I do it because I love it. Are you doing it to make money, or are you doing it because it's all you want to do and you don't care if you're making money? Because that's why I do it. I don't care if I make money. This is what I want to do. Like this is what I love. I've never wanted to do anything else. So, I mean, that gets you to a certain point, right? Because at a certain stage, you kind of have to start paying your own bills. So you do have to make money off of it to make it sustainable. But
Or you have a sugar mama.
or you get a sugar mama. I don't know, but I don't know. I would do exactly what I've done over again 10 times. Like I wouldn't want. I mean, I'm sure there's some small things that I would change, right? Like
Whatever.
yeah, some little stuff, right? But like nothing like change my whole career path. No, definitely not. This is all I want to do is race. So I wouldn't change it, but I wouldn't change the outcome, I guess, necessarily, but I would change maybe some small stuff, like as far as races go. You know,
Yeah.
everybody's got that race where like,
Fair.
damn, if I could have, you know,
Yep.
done this and not done that or whatever the case is, like different tire choice or whatever. But other than little stuff like that, no, I would do exactly the same thing I've done. You just grind it out. Like, in my opinion, show up week in, week out, grind it out, keep getting better, train as hard as you possibly can, ride as much as you possibly can, and I don't know, that's all I ever really did. I rode a lot and could see my progression, and that's what kept me motivated, was seeing that I was getting better.
When you were riding stuff, were you riding alone, or was
There was
your
a lot of times
your
I was riding alone.
your godfather, was he there? Was it Godfather?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, he would bring me to the track, you know, because I was, like,
But
10 years
not-
old, but he wouldn't really ride, no.
Like but you said you were riding at your house.
At my house, I rode alone. I'd set up, like, a little beacon and my lap timer that I would have on the big track.
So you did
And-
pretty much everything alone, except
Dude,
for
always.
racing.
Yeah, always. I spent a lot of time alone. I think that's why I don't really mind, like, being on my own. You know, it's just because I've spent a lot of time just grinding it out on my own. Like, there was nobody pushing me to do it. I always wanted to do it, and I think that's why it's never, like, I've never got burnt out. It's because I've always wanted it.
Where do you think that comes from? Is that like something your parents taught you?
I don't think that's like a taught thing. I think that's just like I have this like thing, whatever it is just like, sounds kind of stupid me saying it, but like it's something like inside that like I just want it, you know? Like this is what I want to do. It's like I can't give it up.
Not trying to prove to anybody. You're just like you
I
didn't
mean, there was a
have-
time for sure where it was like, oh, the girls or whatever, or the
Oh,
money,
wow.
you know? Like it was like, oh, well, I'm gonna go win this because this chick said whatever, you know?
Okay.
Like
But there's never like I gotta prove to like my family I can do this, or I can like there's never.
I mean, you always have that like that weird thing in the back of your head where you're like, oh, I'm gonna make it one day and buy my mom a house or whatever, you know? But like putting it in perspective, like you're racing motorcycles and there's not a lot of money in your industry, so it's you know, realistically probably not gonna happen. But yeah, you always have that thought, right? But like that's not the whole reason why I would ever do it. It's really like kind of selfish, you know? It's for me. Like it's a selfish reason, but it's the reason, you know? I do it because it makes me happy and it's what I enjoy doing, and I like the challenge. I like pushing myself. As twisted as it sounds, I don't mind the injuries, you know, they suck, you know, and it hurts or whatever else, but it's part of the game, so I don't like hate it, I guess, you know? You got to kind of expect it, and it comes with the territory kind of deal.
Has there ever been anything else you've like considered yourself doing?
Dude, big golf guy.
Yeah, right.
No, dude, there's no chance. I don't know. Honestly, there's nothing that I'm good at. Well, I'm sure there is, but there's nothing that like interests me that I'm good at other than racing. And now I'm getting pretty like into golf. I do like golf. I'm not great at it, but I like it.
Would you ever give up racing just to be an influencer?
No. I mean, dude, so I would be an influencer to go racing, but I wouldn't give up racing to go be an influencer. Like the only reason
So like
that I would
you wouldn't be like you wouldn't swap being famous.
No, dude, being famous sucks. Even having like a remotely like big amount of following for the industry that I'm in, like it's hard to keep up with sometimes, and people just like assume that you're one way when you're really not. Has been the most annoying part about like kind of having a following is like people just expect you to be a certain way, or they get like a certain like thought about you before they even know who you are, and everybody thinks they know who you are because you're on social media all the time.
So you said not, you don't do this stuff to build a following to, necessarily make money or whatever. So, it sounds, when you put it that way, that it's like, what is it really for at that point?
I don't know. It's a good
If
question.
It's not like caring about that you have a lot of people watching you or, being famous,
You know,
if you will.
The origin of it was to get me to the point that I'm in now on a factory superbike team, and now I'm here, so I'm like, obviously I'm going to keep doing it because it's helped me, right, to an extent. But it does change throughout the years where you're at certain points you're like, wow, this is cool, like I'm kind of getting a little bit of fame off of this, and then it gets to a certain point where you're like, put it back in perspective. Like I'm a racer, I'm an athlete, like I want to chase this dream as long as I can. So how can I use that leverage to keep chasing the same dream? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, no, I get it. For
growing
sure.
up a little bit, trying to understand.
Yeah, well, sometimes too, you know, when you're younger, like you start getting like that big following and you're like, it goes to your head kind of where you're
Ego.
like, oh, I'm so cool. Like, you know, but now I'm like, dude, I have a following, but like the whole reason for building that was to get a factory superbike ride. And now I'm there. So I don't need to like be that guy really, you know?
So
know.
that's why maybe some people have a perspective of you
Yeah.
because you're that guy getting there.
Yeah. No. And like it's never been about like being an influencer. It was always to get to the position that I'm in now.
I feel like people are gonna really dig a lot of this, like listening. You know what I mean?
Do you think that sometimes you find it difficult to convince people of who you really are based on who you can be other times?
Yeah. No, for sure. Like, I want to say, like, I'd honestly like to hear James's opinion on it too, because I feel like you might have even had like a certain viewpoint on me until we kind of hung out for a whole day, and like, I don't know. Do you
Well,
think that too?
I've always seen two sides.
Yeah, I think we
Like,
both. I
I-
think everyone that actually knows you knows who you really are, but then there's like how deep down the rabbit hole of being the online.
Yeah.
Like,
You know,
for
person.
instance, I've always been like, dude, such a good kid, super talented. But like, fuck, man, did you really have to fucking say that? You're a dickhead sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of, I mean, truthfully, people are just, that's my honest opinion. After hanging out with you, you're a lot cooler than what social media and the stuff that you do that I don't gel with, right? It's just not who I am with.
Yeah.
Does it bother me? I don't care. I don't look at you differently. You know what I mean? Because I know, like at heart, there's too many people that I know that have interest in you that are like, dude, he's a good kid. I know, but like, well, tell him to stop being a shithead. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but you're young. You got to figure out for yourself. Who am I to tell you what to do and not to do? You've got a great social media following. Am I going to tell you to not do that? No. Like, it's what you need to do in this sport and whatever is to grow it. However you want to do that, you need to be your own person. You know, so I would say I'm part of the dual side. Am I leaning more towards one way now as I see you, you know, resonate with how hard you work, where you've come from? You know, we talk all the time. Like, if you sit down with anybody for an hour and a half, you probably change your perspective. And I truly think this podcast will probably change a lot of people's perspective of you.
Like, don't get me wrong too. Like, I'm not trying to really change people's perspective, because at the end of the day, that like kind of persona deal is like,
Yeah, but people always have like you have an identity
to
of
an
like
extent.
yourself, you know, like who you feel like you are inside. And when people think differently see your identity as something else, you end up with like an internal conflict, whether you realize it or not. And that's
Yeah.
something as you get a little bit older, you start to kind of try to actually like outwardly emulate who you see yourself as, so that people feel the same way about you that you do.
yeah.
So otherwise you end up in like a constant conflict of like, I walk around and I know who I am inside. I know I'm not an asshole, but then, you know, because I'm an
Everybody
asshole on
else
social
thinks
media, everyone sees me that way. So then you end up
Yeah.
like, does everyone think I'm an asshole?
No, it definitely gets like that sometimes, but at the same time, I also genuinely, to a pretty high extent, don't give a shit what people think, you know, because I know who I am.
But truly, do you think that?
Yes, 100%. Like, so the reason that I say that is because I act a certain way, and if you're going to act that way, you can't care what people think. You know what I mean? Like, you can't sit there and act like a dick, and then when people start thinking you're a dick, even though you're not, you can't start getting upset that people think you're a dick. That's like the classic giving it, but you can't take it. Like, certain people that I see on social media that I know that we race with, and I'm not going to like drop people's names or whatever, but like, certain people give it and they can't take it, and then you're like, well, that's not cool, you know? So like, I've put myself in that position, so I have to be that, like, you know, I have to be able to take it. Like, and that's kind of taking it. Like, I'm portraying myself as an asshole sometimes. I understand that. And so when some people think that I am that, like,
Yeah, I don't even think it's about being
You
an
know?
asshole. It's just like, you know,
Not
I don't
necessarily
think you
an
do
asshole,
things
but
that are like, you know, you go like knock over some lady in the grocery store and videotape it and put it on Instagram. It's just the persona.
Good idea for the next video.
It's just the things that are like, is this really Brandon, or is this just a thing that's like, an attempt at.
Yeah. No, sometimes that line gets blurred too, because like I'm 99% of the time myself on social media, but then there's that 1 or 2% where you turn it up. You're like, okay, that would be cool, but how about we do this? And you kind of just make it a little bit more than what it really is. In certain ways, whether it's the shit talking or I don't know, even like my Supermoto stuff. Like I don't ride like that all the time. Like that's just for videos. When I'm training, it's not like me sideways all the time looking like a animal on the brakes. Like it's like there's certain bits and pieces of my whole training program and my life that I show, and I only show certain points of it to put out a certain image where like it's not me not being genuine, but it's only the stuff that I want people to see.
Yeah, it's your brand.
Yeah, like I have.
It's a highlight reel.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's just a highlight reel. And that's what I'm kind of changing with my YouTube stuff now, is like kind of gearing it more just like what's actually happening.
This is
like
who I am.
the day that we trained, like I kind of vlogged that whole day, just posted it, and it's just raw. Like it's just look into what we're doing, training, whether it's riding, actual like fitness stuff, me playing golf. I'm terrible at golf, and like we're just doing me.
How much of the metrics are you like involved in checking and stuff like that? Do you care, or are you like looking after the first hour? I'm just not getting any views.
I used to be definitely more like more into it for sure. Like especially when my account started taking off a little bit on Instagram. Like I'd sit there and watch the thing for like an hour, 2 hours, and you're like, I just wasted 2 hours of my life watching this stupid video. Like I definitely used to be into it more, and I still pay attention to it because you're not going to grow without having some kind of understanding of what's going on with your channels, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. Like you have to be in tune with your analytics to an extent, right? So like I would sit there and just refresh all the time and be like, okay, well, this is what happened after 25 minutes. Now I'm like a lot more chill with it, where I'll like check after a day or like a few hours and just be like, just see where it's at, not necessarily that you're like, you care, I mean, you do care, right? But like not in a point where it's like, oh, this didn't get any views, so I'm going to delete it. It's
obsessive.
Like, yeah, I'm not like obsessive about it, but I'm very, I like to keep track, so that I know, okay, the next time I post, if it's doing better or worse. Kind of one of those deals.
Yeah,
I get you.
that's smart.
Well, Jimmy, what do you think? We're about 2 hour mark. It's about that time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty good, man. That was pretty juicy.
Yeah,
it's pretty juicy. What do you think, Paasch? You pretty good?
Anything else you want to say?
No, I mean, I'm pretty content with that for sure. I definitely talked a little bit of smack. Not even.
Is there anybody else you want to name drop on here?
Man, honestly, no. I don't really. I'm not trying to get people too fired up. I just thought there was a couple points I thought
You like literally were like ready to fucking.
He like pulls out a script. He's like, I actually was thinking about talking some shit about. Well, you got SDK riled up, so now we got to get him on here.
I know.
Yeah, let him get on here and clap back. No, that wasn't even that wasn't
Dude,
really
nobody
meant that way,
fucking knows that. Yeah, like whatever. Baby
I don't care.
hands.
Take it whatever way you want.
We'll reel it out. It's fine.
That's gonna be our
That'll
first
be
reel.
our reel. Sorry, buddy. More where that came.
See you after 200.
I wonder, is he doing the 200?
I don't think so.
Oh yeah, he's not.
Is he? Is he
I
not?
doubt
I
it.
don't know.
What?
How do you think he's gonna do?
I don't know. It's he could do really well, or he could struggle. I don't know. It's a very big unknown, right? Like, how good is the team? How good is the equipment? Like, we know he's a good rider. He's not a bad rider, obviously. Like, he's won championships. Like, he's a good rider. It's just, like, how good is everything going to come together and click? That's kind of where, like, he could do really well, like I said, or he could maybe struggle a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's a tricky one to call for sure.
Are you excited to have somebody that's like your age kind of coming into class, so you can kind of, because like right now you're kind of just a young kid
It's like a benchmark for sure as far
Yeah, but
as
how
like,
old's
age goes.
Poppy?
He's a year younger than me, I think.
Poppy?
No, Richie, he's like 30
Oh,
almost.
Richie?
What?
Dude, yeah, Richie's 28, 29.
Oh, dude. He looks younger.
Yeah. Well, he's
Okay.
Probably got a facial routine.
Poppy.
I thought you were talking about Sean. I was like, why you calling him Poppy, dude?
Oh, no, dude. There's only one Poppy.
Escalante,
Yeah.
big dog.
How is it having him as a teammate before we go? Is it like, because I mean, his English is really good now and everything. Like, not like that matters, but I mean, how is it communicating with him? Do you communicate with him?
Dude, Richie's cool.
Yeah, I said, but
honestly,
you did say though he flicked you off at the one time when you kept
oh,
towing off
dude,
him or something.
He
He
definitely
told me he had to cut you off from all his data too.
Dude, yeah,
no
I got
mas, puppy.
dude,
Really?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
I first joined the team, I think he wasn't expecting me to really do much.
Yeah, it was open
And
book.
as soon as it started getting competitive within the team, it started becoming a little bit more closed off on the track. You know, we were still hanging out and stuff and talking
Yeah.
shit in the truck when we're getting changed and stuff. Like we're still cool, like
Yeah.
when we're in the pits. But I out qualified him a couple times and then beat him a couple times, and he just got funny about it. And he's like, "You're not following me in qualifying anymore." Or
Really?
like, yeah.
How, I want to know
Which is
how that
interesting.
conversation went.
There was no conversation.
Oh.
It just became like
Don't follow
he would
me.
pull off the track or just basically like almost stop or like start waving his hands around at me like a psycho. Like, and then I'd come in and be like, "Dude, what are you doing?" He's like, "Bro, I'm sorry, bro." I'm like,
That is
"Not that
funny.
sorry, because you know let
That's
me follow
funny.
you, damn it."
But really, you can't look at his data or no?
No, I mean, I'm sure I could, but like, it's one of those deals, dude.
I was just kidding about
We're,
that.
Oh,
No, I
oh, dude, I was like, no way.
we never really like shared data, to be honest. Like, not because we can't, just because I'm focused on myself.
Yeah.
And like me and Ben look at my stuff really deep, and like Ben worked with Jake and Tony, so we honestly look more at that kind of stuff just because Ben's familiar with them
Yeah.
and what they like.
For people that don't know, most teams are like open source.
Yeah,
for
no, we
data,
could.
like between teammates and stuff like that. It doesn't really. It's not normally. It's not locked off between
No,
teammates.
we definitely could share.
sure
It's just not.
M4 is
Yeah.
more an open source if
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
needed.
I mean, I've looked at Rich's data before, but we don't really like we're not the
So you
same.
don't really
rider.
compare.
So it's like I don't. Yeah, I feel like I'm not wasting time looking at it, because if there's a section where he's way faster than me, it's like, all right,
We need to look at it.
I need to look at it. But other than that, you know, we were so close at almost all the races, especially like towards the end of the year. Like we were like within tenths at most of the races, and so, like I don't know, the last round of the year when I beat him at Jersey in the rain, it got a little tense within the team. Like everybody was just like, you know.
Yeah, but
tweaking.
he was going for fourth in the points.
Yeah, I didn't know that though.
Yeah.
So like nobody said anything beforehand, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
And had I not passed him on the last lap, he would have got like fourth in the points or whatever.
Oh,
Let me-
really?
Yeah.
Let me ask you: would you have not passed him?
I mean, dude, I get paid for top fives only, so I probably would have passed him. I mean, I don't know though, right? Like if it was just like Richie saying it and he was just like, "Yo, like, don't pass me,"
Yeah,
I
but
would be
if,
like,
the-
"Dude, come
if
on."
like Chris or something.
But if it was like a team order, yeah, you got to follow team orders. You don't. That's like not negotiable, really. You don't
Okay.
want to.
yeah,
like,
especially
wanna
you're
do
looking
that.
for these opportunities.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
need
no,
these.
for sure. You gotta do the best you can to try and keep people happy. You
Of
know.
course, yeah, I understand it. Well, you know what's coming.
Oh yeah.
This is it.
I've been prepared.
This guy has said he's been preparing for weeks for
Weeks.
this. All right, so you're on death row. This is your death row meal.
Forgot to call law taggers. They're not bailing you out.
It's unreal.
Nah, dude, you're in New York City, New York City pen.
Too many burnouts.
Just ripping burnouts. Yeah, you're on death row. What's your meal? Drink, dessert if you need. Just your last final meal.
Some of that sweet, sweet Debo cooking, baby. Darian be locking it in every day with the fresh meals. So we're probably gonna roll with some. I don't know, dude. Like a whole. I guess it's kind of like a British, you know, somewhat like like a Sunday dinner deal where they have like the chicken and the mashed potatoes and like a veg with like some gravy on there. I'd definitely fire that up for sure with like a little handmade tiramisu for dessert and probably about 10 of those Colombian coffees that we had that one day.
Colada.
Yeah, just to absolutely explode my stomach before I go, and then maybe a couple margaritas too. I don't know.
Really? Margarita?
Dude, I would just be going to town.
Yeah.
I have a big appetite as it is, you know.
A big
and
appetite for margaritas.
Yeah, dude.
You're a Mar guy? Like you like tequila or no?
Yeah. Yeah, I could get into a few marks
So
for
you
sure.
love Debo's cooking that much that you would, or is this just a
Nah, dude, she's the best.
okay?
Best cook. I love it.
This feels scripted.
Come over
It-
for
a
dinner
little-
sometime.
I will. I'm not sure. I didn't know she liked me because of our whole helmet fiasco.
Oh, dude, no, that was just me being fired up, dude. I was like, come on,
That was you just being.
dude. I was,
That
I
was
was
one of
on
your.
it.
That was one of your Paasch moments.
dude, big time.
You big.
But-
hold on. Let's just. This guy big times us for the pod, and then
says,
his
"Can I come
helmet.
get my helmet?"
His helmet comes to my house.
It was days
The
late.
audacity he has to text me like, "Bro, can you come and meet me?"
Can you handle it?
No
with this
chance.
class?
No, dude.
Dude, the whole I know you guys were probably a little like sore about the whole podcast thing, but that was genuinely just a
It wasn't
miscommunication.
sore. It wasn't sore. It was you committed and then you,
And then you uncommitted.
bailed.
I'm not gonna throw anybody else's names
Yeah,
into it,
whatever.
but we talked about it the other day, and like the story that I got was different, and I didn't talk to you guys directly, so
Sorry, dude.
it was one of those things
You
where
were
it
the
was just a
champ at the time,
miscommunication.
dude. You were humbled. It's okay. You're on it now.
Ate a couple slices of humble pie, and here we are, baby.
I love it. Dude, seriously though, thanks for coming on. Thanks for
Yeah.
we really appreciate it. I think a lot of people are gonna really enjoy this. I know we unpacked a lot. We only wish you the best for whatever you
Thanks,
do.
boys.
Seriously, hopefully you have a good Superbike
There's no
second season.
no Northeastern boys in Superbike anymore, so it's just
Flying the oh shit, yeah, I'm flying the
pressure.
flag, no pressure.
no pressure.
Gotta
I got
do it.
high expectations to live up to next year for the Northeast, dude.
Yep.
Yep.
Repping the tri-state area, I guess.
You gotta get
Yep,
after it, dude.
yep. All right,
Yeah.
dude. Well, good luck with the year, and we'll be watching.
Yeah, thank you guys, and then also shout out to the whole M4 Visionwheel XStar team for taking me on, taking that risk, and everybody else that supports us, and James and Corey for running the podcast, giving everybody a platform to kind of talk their shit.
We love it, dude. Thanks, bro.
Yes, sir.